It's Professor Bear here. I am talking about how we calculate. So what Google wants is all your keywords should have a 5 through click through, 5% click through rate. But if you've just, displayed the term 10 times or even 100 times, how do you know the true click through rate is 5%? Maybe you got lucky or maybe you got unlucky. Fortunately, math can help us here. So we're going to calculate some confidence intervals and something called the UCB score. I have a little calculator here for you. So what this does is you put in the number of clicks you got and the number of impressions. So you would expect if you got 3 clicks from 100 impressions, your click-through rate is 3%. However, because this isn't that many impressions, it's possible within a reasonable range for your true click-through rate to be 15% according to Hoeffding and 7% according to Wilson, which are 2 statistical tests. Wilson is typically more conservative than a Hoeffding bound and better on smaller sample sizes. UCB is wildly optimistic. So I've included it here mainly for theoretical purposes, but I would not recommend using that for this purpose. It's great for other purposes, particularly automatically choosing channels to go to if you have multiple choices. But the idea here is you put in the number of clicks you got, say 33 clicks off of 1,000 impressions. And let's take a different number. How about 789? Target CTR, you probably will never change if you're doing this for Google. Google wants all their nonprofits to have a 5 through click-through rate for all of their keywords. And you're going to be monitoring those keywords throughout the whole process. If you allow too many low-performing keywords, they may deactivate you or ban you. So what alpha means is what confidence level. You can think of this as a p-value. So alpha of 5% means 95% of the time, given this, and these are optimistic. So we expect it's reasonably possible at 95% chance that our true click-through rate is as high as 8.54%. With the Wilson, it's as high as 5.52%. And so then it says keep it, keep it, keep it. However, if it were much worse, it would say to remove it. So at this point, where once it says remove it, because these are optimistic calculations, it's a very unlikely average. This is pretty close, but its true rate is almost certainly, this is the highest possible. That's the most optimistic estimate of the click-through rate. And Wilson is much more conservative. So the true click-through rate is around 1%. So that said, I will automate these tools. You can go to this webpage here, and I'll put this webpage in the link and play with it. This is mainly to get people to understand the math. What we'll do is we have a program called Givealytics, and they're creating little tools for this because we have to create them for ourselves. Might as well share them with other nonprofits. But it'll allow you just to download all your keywords and then make decisions of whether to keep it or remove it. So in this case, if it were this poor, if we would remove it. If it were better than that, we would keep it. But this is a way of formally calculating a confidence interval in an optimistic way, meaning what these percentages saying is it's reasonable, it's possible to get something as high as 8.5%. So you should still keep on trying, even though the actual rate is 33 out of 789. And the same thing here for Wilson. It says both of them say keep it. Wilson is more conservative. And so this will typically be lower than that. I have some details on the math here. For example, here, another thing to point out here is if it's very poor, like you're not getting any clicks, you can remove it pretty quickly, like only after 50 tries. If you're getting a little bit 1%, it'll take you around 80 samples, 80 tries to get a reasonable evidence that this is poor. So the further away it is from 5%, the more confidently, that is, the fewer samples you need to say, well, it's not 5%. It's not greater than 5%. As you see, as it gets closer to 5%, if it's like boarding there 4.8%, we may need a lot of samples. But then again, it's still close. So if your actual rate is 4.78% and Google has their 5% thing, I would be surprised if they give you a big deal off of something doing 4.8% rather than 5%. But to know whether it's truly 5%, you're going to need bigger numbers as it gets closer. If it's very poorly performing, you can get rid of them fairly quickly, and you should. So we will automate this tool here. This web page is for people just to understand and play with the math. So that's it for my classes. So when I teach this math in classes, people can play with it. This is a practical example of using statistics. The question is, when should I remove the keyword? And here's the statistics behind it. The Hoeffding and Wilson test, or UCB, which we won't go into because we'll use that in other aspects of our Givealytics project. Okay, that's it. Share, ring, subscribe, whatever. Talk to you later.